Good afternoon. This is the Asylum Answers Show. I'm Brian Manning, and I want to answer your questions about winning asylum in America. Good morning if you're still in the central time zone, like we are in Texas. Good afternoon out on the East Coast, our friends, our asylum seeking community. Out on the East Coast, New York, Florida, everywhere in between. Out on the West Coast, California, Washington State, good morning. How are you? We're live on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and of course, YouTube. YouTube, by the way, if you're watching somewhere else, guys, YouTube is where I have all my best stuff, okay? YouTube's where I've got very detailed tutorials and trainings about all kinds of asylum things that you need to know about if you want to maximize your chances for asylum success, okay? Um, this is the Asylum Answers Show. Good morning, I'm Brian Manning. I'm a former asylum officer. So I was an asylum officer with USCIS, and now I'm an asylum lawyer. I got tired of that job. It was good in certain ways. I learned a lot. I really got good, and I think became knowledgeable about asylum law thanks to the good training that they provide. But there's a lot of things that I really didn't like about the job, including the increasing pressure to deny people. I felt like with every passing month, there was more and more pressure to just deny people, and I didn't like that. I wanted to be impartial, and I decided ultimately I wanted to advocate for people. I wanted to proactively support people and help them win asylum, and so that's why I quit my job as an asylum officer. Now, as an asylum lawyer, my law firm helps immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. Good morning, good afternoon. Um, I want to know what questions you have about winning asylum in the United States. So leave them in the chat. But first, before you start leaving those questions, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Love to see where you guys are at, where this community of asylum seekers and the people supporting them is at. Say hello. Let me know where you're watching from this morning or afternoon. Jonathan says, "Hey Brian, nice, good to see you. Thanks for the follow." Um, woo. So Jonathan says, "I got scheduled for an interview within 7 days of submitting my application." You mean you got the interview notice within 7 days? You didn't have the interview within 7 days of getting scheduled of applying, did you? Because we've been hearing about 2 or 3 weeks. I've never heard 1 week to actually have the interview after applying. Let me know, Jonathan. Let me know. Do you mean 7 days? 7 days to get the interview notice, or 7 days and you actually had the interview? Let me know about that. I want to know. All right, Prince Chidek says hello on TikTok. On TikTok, we got Millie says hello from Maryland. Nice. I like Maryland. We got Prince Charles, or sorry, Prince Charles. Prince Chidex says hello from, or he says watching from Columbus, Ohio. Nice. She wins. Wants to know what's the charge for a case for us. It ranges from look. It ranges from like there's certain things that cost like, well, there's one thing that costs $3,000 that I'm going to tell you about in a second. But normally for like a full case from beginning to end is $11,000 to $16,000 depending on the circumstances. But there are some other kind of partial service, limited services, let's call them, standalone services that don't entail full representation that are much less than that. Okay. All right, okay, Jonathan clarified the notice. You got the notice within 7 days of applying. So when's the interview, Jonathan? When's the interview? And how long will that be? Once the interview takes place, how long will it be from the time of application? I'm curious to know. And where is it also? All right, where's the interview? What office? Greatly Graced One says, Ifioma Abia from Texas. Nice. Good to see you. Shaq, thanks for being here. Hello from Florida, says X0 Plus. Nice. Okay, Jonathan or Jonathan, I'm not sure how you say that. Says Arlington, Virginia, November 18th is your interview. Okay, great. Look, Jonathan, there's time for us to help you if you want help. I don't know if you feel like you need help, but if you want to maximize your chances for asylum success, I strongly encourage you to go here to asylumprep.com. A second ago, someone asked what we charge for a case, and I said, well, for full representation from beginning to end, it's like $11,000 to $16,000, but that's for full representation. For people that either that are not in a position to hire us to be their lawyers from beginning to end, but they still want help, there's other things we can do. And I think the number one, the most important, the most helpful thing that we can possibly do for you is to help you with the preparation, to prepare you for your asylum interview. Okay. And we do this through something that we call the mock asylum interview experience. Okay. The mock asylum interview experience. For short, we just call it the experience. And there is tons of information about it at this website, asylumprep.com. Go to asylumprep.com and you're going to find all kinds of information, lots of information. There's a video up top that's quite long and detailed. And then below, there's very detailed text, just like a web page that tells you all about why I think this is the best thing you can possibly do to increase your chances for asylum success. So, Jonathan, have you checked out asylumprep.com? I'm curious to know what you think about it. If you've checked it out, what do you think? You think that's something that could help you? All right. She wins says, what if I've already filed, just haven't been called for an interview? Yeah, there's a lot that we can do. There's a lot that we can do. And we would love to talk with you all about it in an asylum strategy session, okay, in a consultation, which you can schedule at winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. All right. All right. Without marrying a U.S. citizen, what can you do to move from TPS to a green card? X0 plus, do you have an asylum case pending? Have you applied for asylum? I mean, asylum is a route to get, ultimately to get a green card. You get asylum, and then after that, the next step is to apply for a green card. But look, asylum is only for people who fear being harmed in their country. It's not something you should just file just because. It's only if you really fear being harmed in your country. I recommend you talk with an asylum lawyer to see, whether it's appropriate, whether it might be viable for you. All right. But that is something that leads to to a green card. If you win asylum, the next step is applying for a green card. All right. I want to know what questions you have about winning asylum in America. So go ahead and start leaving those questions in the chat. All right. Jonathan says I applied I applied after 2 months passing the 1 year deadline, but I maintained my status and had a new warrant. Yeah, Jonathan, there's probably a decent chance of overcoming the 1 year filing deadline based on based on that. I mean, I want to ask you a lot more questions about it, and I would want to practice with you going through it in mock interview. But sounds like there's probably a good chance. Yeah, Jonathan, check out asylumprep.com. Okay, asylumprep.com. All right. What do you want to know about winning asylum in the United States? Let's go to YouTube. Good morning. I haven't said hi to you guys yet. Sorry about that. We got Louis M says, good morning, Brian. Nice. Unavaca says, good morning. Will Trump revoke work permits for pending asylum? Good question. The question is this. Is Trump going to revoke work permits from people who have a permit based on their pending asylum case? Maybe. Look, I believe this administration, they want to make it as painful as possible for asylum seekers. They want people to give up and go home. They want people to, as they say, self-deport, right? And messing with work permits, whether it's by attempting to actually cancel them or to just take away the ability to even apply for them, or if it's a little bit more subtle and it's just like, oh, well, we pull away officers and resources from adjudicating the application such that it takes much longer to have them approved. What I'm saying is there's a lot of different things they could try to do, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do some or many of these things to make life more difficult for immigrants. So yeah, I am, just to be completely blunt, yeah, I am concerned that there will be problems around work permits for asylum seekers. All right. How is the incident that happened at the immigration office in Dallas affecting things? It's not really. There's heightened security there and at other offices because of that, but I don't think it's affecting processing or cases really, thankfully. Messiah says, I'm from Virginia. Nice. Good to see you with us out in Virginia. Jama says, I have a hearing in new immigration court in Louisiana. Nice. When is it, Jot? When's your hearing, Jamu, and which hearing is it? Is it your individual hearing, like the big one, or is it your what they call the master calendar hearing? Uh, oh, nice. Amu Wunmi Adeni says Sweden. You're watching from Sweden. Wow. Okay. So I'm a U.S. immigration lawyer. I know that I think I know the U.S. Asylum system pretty well, but I'm not in a position to help with with Swedish asylum law. You should talk with the Swedish asylum lawyer if you want help with that. James Turing says on YouTube, "What is full representation?" Good question. So the question is this: what can you hire my law firm to do for you exactly? So look, you can hire us for full representation, meaning we're your asylum lawyers from the beginning to the end of your case. Before you even apply, if you're thinking about applying, you can hire us, after doing a consultation with us. If we tell you that, you qualify and you think it sounds like a good fit, you hire us from the beginning to do all the processes until you get a decision in your case, and we'll help you with all aspects of the case. That's what I mean when I say full representation. But we can also help people that aren't in a position to do that because it's already too late. They already applied, or money if it's too expensive to hire us for full representation. There are certain things that we can do on kind of a limited basis where it costs a lot less. And our representation or our support that we give is more limited. And so one example, and probably not probably, I think the most important, the most impactful, most helpful thing that we can possibly do for anyone is to help them prepare for their asylum interview, the preparation, the practice for their asylum interview. And that is a service that we offer on its own. I mean, it's something that we do with our clients in a full representation, but we also offer this aspect of the representation, which is I'm talking right now about the preparation. We offer that as a standalone service. We do it through something called the Mock Asylum Interview Experience, or the Experience for short. And you can learn all about that on this webpage, asylumprep.com. If you want to learn about our preparation service, go to asylumprep.com. Our clients are loving it. People are loving this preparation. I think it's the most helpful thing that you can possibly do to maximize your chances for asylum success. Asylumprep.com. All right. Asterisk Alliance wants to know if somebody has multiple visitor visas in their passport, does it cause issue with the interview? Do they check the passport? They usually do check the passport. They want to see your passport. Do they? When you say if somebody okay, does it? Are you asking whether the fact that someone that has been to the United States multiple times, whether that's relevant? It's relevant. Yeah, the officer wants to know about that. And if you were if you say, oh, the bad things started happening to me 3 years ago, but then you've left your country, 4 times and come to the United States 3 times since before your current entrance to the entry to the United States, then it looks kind of weird. It's kind of like, oh wait, then if bad things were already happening to you a long time ago and you were coming here like for vacation, why didn't you stay? The first time you came here, why didn't you stay and seek asylum? It kind of calls into question your fear, and so it's definitely relevant. It's not to say that the mere fact that someone has the tourist visas in their passport or has been here multiple times previously by itself, none of that by itself is like going to make you lose the case. It's just, what does it mean? What are the exact circumstances? And do they indicate that you maybe are not, in fact, afraid of being harmed? Okay. All right. Does the travel ban affect asylum seekers? No. So tired. It does not. Messiah wants to know, as a asylum officer, do you guys just refer the case to court if it passes the 1 year, or do you actually look at the potential exceptions? The question is this: at the asylum office, are they actually going to consider whether you might qualify for an exception to the 1 year filing deadline? Or if they see that, look, you applied, after 1 year of being here, do they just automatically say, nope, straight to immigration court? We're not going to approve your case. We'll send it to immigration court and let them figure it out. No, they do actually analyze it. Even if you clearly applied way after 1 year, even if there's no indication from the application that like you might possibly qualify for an exception to the 1 year filing deadline, you still get an asylum interview, and they're still going to ask you questions about it during the interview. They're going to probe and see whether one of the categories of exceptions might apply. Remember, there's two categories of exceptions with respect to the 1 year filing deadline. One of them is called the extraordinary circumstances exception, and the other one is called the changed circumstances exception. So the officers are trained to assess that, and they're going to look into it and ask you lots of questions about it at your interview. They don't just just pass it, deny you, or pass it straight to immigration court when they see that you filed outside of 1 year. Yeah, okay, Jot Jim, this is individual hearing on 20 October. Jot Jimu, do you have an asylum lawyer? I hope so. Look, this Jot Jimu, I think you could benefit from this. Go to asylumprep.com and check out what we have there. It's that's on that webpage we talk about the asylum interview and not the like immigration court hearing, but it's basically the same. Or it's what we do to prepare you is similar. It's not exactly the same, but it's similar, which is to say, we can do a mock hearing with you. Okay, 2 sessions. We'll do a mock hearing, and then we'll do a debrief session. And so it's basically the same as what's described on that webpage. Okay, go to asylumprep.com. There's still time to do that before October 20th. Even if you have an asylum lawyer, even if you have a lawyer, we can do the prep with you to help prepare you for the hearing. I mean, I think your lawyer should definitely be doing preparation with you, but not all of them do. Some of them just say, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll just show up 15 minutes before the hearing, and I'll just kind of give you a preview of what we're going to ask you there and what you're going to be asked by the prosecutor or the judge." That is insufficient, my friends. That is not good enough. You need to do a full-scale mock interview or a full-scale mock hearing before your interview, before your hearing. Okay. All right. Kudzai Chimango wants to know, are asylum interview offices in all states now increasingly anti-immigrant? If not, which ones are fair lately? I think they are all increasingly. There we go. Yep. Can you hear me? Drop me in the chat and say yes if you can hear me now. Had a little Wi-Fi issue here. There we are. Can you hear me? Can you say yes in the chat if you got me? Okay, cool. Thanks. She wins. All right, we're back. Look, if your case has been pending with the asylum office for several years, you should seriously consider suing to force the government to give you your interview. Okay, because the longer you wait, the lower your chances for success. I believe that with every passing month, it's going to become harder and harder to win asylum. Look, I've always thought that the sooner you get your interview, the better your chances for success. But it's even more true. It's even more important and more pressing now with the Trump administration that where I believe every month that goes by, it's going to be harder and harder to win. That the approval rate is going to keep going down, 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 down. Okay. All right. Right. Instagram. Oh, we're frozen on Instagram. Darn. All right. So that is, yeah, that's that. Let me know in the comments, what questions do you have about winning asylum in the United States? All right. Nice. All right. Okay. Okay. Very interesting. Okay. We've got this question. Oh no, Asterisk Alliance says the sound and my what you see on the video is not synced well with my lips. I think I was on Wi-Fi, but I just turned off my Wi-Fi to make it whatever that's called, connected to the actual fiber hardwire. So hopefully this will help. All right. James Turning wants to know, is immigration court case included in the full representation if USCIS case is denied? Oh, good question. With us, no. Like our contract is just, it's asylum office. If your case is with the asylum office, we're going to help you with the asylum office. And then if that doesn't work and you get sent to court, no, you would need like a new contract with us to then represent you in immigration court. It would be a separate case. All right. All right. Good afternoon. For those of you who just joined, several people just joined recently. I'm Brian Manning, and I'm an asylum lawyer. I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now I have a law firm. It's called Political Asylum Lawyers, and we help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. All right. If you want to talk with us, if you want to talk about your case and you think you might want to get help, then I hope you'll go here to winasylum.com. WINASYLUM.com. That's where you can schedule a consultation, or what we call an asylum strategy session with one of our asylum professionals. So we can get to know you, understand your case, understand your situation, and tell you whether we think that we're in a position to help you. If we think that we are, we're going to explain how. We're going to go over in some detail exactly what we're going to do, like the concrete steps we'll take to try to help you just give you the best possible chance of winning your case so you can secure your future in America. Go to winasylum.com to schedule the consultation. WINASYLUM.com. All right. All right. She Wins wants to know if we sue the government, how long will it take to get the interview filed in 2016? No answer. Oh, yeah. Look, She Wins. You're in a very good position to have success with the mandamus lawsuit, suing the government to force your interview since you applied so long ago. So the question is this. How long is it going to take to get your asylum interview after you sue the government in a mandamus lawsuit? So we're talking about a federal lawsuit where we sue the government to say, hey, judge, please tell USCIS it needs to do its job. My client's case is delayed for too long. It's unreasonable. Make them move this thing forward. So look, we actually ran these numbers recently, and we filed like 200 of these, something like that, in the last around 2 years, and it works extremely well. And based on our experience, 77 days was the average from the time that we filed the lawsuit to the time that our clients got their interview notice saying, okay, we're giving it to you, your interview has been scheduled. And then the interview usually happens within a month or 2 or 3 after that. So, we're looking at 3.5, 4 months probably on average that you can likely expect to have your interview after suing. There's no guarantees. It does. Some of them are much faster. Some of them take significantly longer. So it does range. So you can't go into it thinking, oh, I'm for sure going to get my interview, or even almost certainly going to get my interview in 2 months or 4 months or 6 months. There is some unpredictability there. All right. But it works. Our clients love it because it works really, really well. All right. We've had a lot of success with it. In fact, look, let me preface this by saying past results don't guarantee future results, future outcomes. Your results may vary, but to date, we haven't lost one of these cases yet. I said a second ago we filed something like 200 of these lawsuits. We have not lost a single one yet. Okay. Doesn't guarantee that that's going to keep happening, but I say it to highlight the fact that it's a powerful tool that can really help you possibly to get your stalled asylum case unstuck. If you want to talk about it and see if you think we might be able to help you with this, go to winasylum.com and schedule a consultation. Okay, WINASYLUM.com, winasylum.com. Let's talk. What's your firm's experience with asylum seekers from Ethiopia, Eritrea? We have them from both. We've won cases from both of those countries. And when I was an asylum officer, I adjudicated. I did cases from both those countries as well. So we know cases from the Horn pretty well, and we've had success with them. We would love to talk with you about that. I love helping folks from Africa, and I hope we can talk. All right. So DG8929, go schedule a consultation with us. We want to talk. All right. Does the asylum officer know that I tried to apply for a Canadian student visa? Good question. The question is this: will the asylum officer who does your interview know that you've applied for a visa to another country? Like, say you apply for a tourist visa or a student visa for someplace like Canada. Are they going to have that information at your U.S. asylum interview? Look, probably not. I mean, there is some information sharing between governments, including allies like Canada. But my sense is that it's probably mostly around security-related issues. I mean, I can tell you that when I was an asylum officer several years ago, we definitely did not have this kind of information from any other countries. Like, oh, this person applied for a visa here, or had a visa here, or even was here. Like, we didn't have their immigration records at all. So I doubt they'll know that. But look, honesty is the best policy. I encourage you to be open and honest about everything. So if you're asked about it, or if there's a question that you think implicates this, then I encourage you to reveal it and be open and honest about everything. Okay. All right. Uh, so if you resided in different countries after leaving Haiti, can they still claim asylum regarding Haiti? Says in 6R. The question is this. Let's say you flee your country and you then go live in one or more countries before ending up in the United States. But now you're here in the United States. Can you apply for asylum, or does the fact that you were, living in other countries before coming here keep you or prevent you from getting asylum? I mean, the good news is, look, you can still win asylum even if you were in other countries. There is this concept, though, this thing called the firm resettlement bar, which says basically that if you were in a so-called third country, meaning after you fled your country, you were somewhere else before coming here, then you will be barred from asylum here if while you were in that other country, you had permanent residency or what's called or a so-called offer to get permanent residency there. Now that's kind of tricky. What counts as permanent residency and what counts as an offer to get it is a little complicated. It's a little bit. There's a gray area here, so it can be tricky. So if you had any kind of status, or you like long-term status, or something that could possibly look or feel like it's permanent or could be renewed infinite times, then indefinitely, then you definitely should talk with an asylum lawyer because this is a tricky area of the law. So you should get some help before pursuing your asylum case, or definitely before having your interview. Okay. All right. Um, if you have a prior marriage and you withdraw a marriage AOS withdrawal, does it affect your asylum success? Interesting one. That's a good question. And the question is this: will the fact that you previously applied for a green card based on a marriage, but then withdrew that case, well, can that affect your asylum claim? Look, maybe. Yeah, it could be relevant. The asylum officer will have access to those materials, and they could see, oh, this person, they started the green card process, but then they quit, they stopped. Why is that? They might look at it a little bit skeptically and think it looks a little bit shady, a little bit suspicious, and they might have a lot of questions for you about it. So I mean, it's not like a necessarily an automatic negative factor or strike against you, or an automatic denial by any means, but yeah, it could be something that causes them to view things a little bit skeptically, and you need to be prepared to answer questions about it. Okay. Appreciate you, Brian. You're a blessing, says DG8929. Thank you. Very kind of you. Appreciate that. Oh, good question. I am Miss Prue says, how many mistakes are allowed in an asylum interview? Good question. The question is this: how many mistakes can you make in your asylum interview before you get denied because of it? So, look, the go-to reason, one of the main reasons that asylum officers like to use to try to justify a negative decision, is called inconsistencies, or they use inconsistencies to then say, oh, there were too many inconsistencies in your case, therefore you're not credible, and therefore they deny you. They make what's called a negative credibility finding to deny you. There's no written policy on this. There's no sort of actual rule, but there is what we call a rule of thumb, which is just something that sort of everyone kind of knows, even though it's not official, it's not formal, is that if you have 3 inconsistencies in your case, then that's enough for the officer to be able to say, oh, too many inconsistencies, not credible, denied. And for that to pass muster with the officer's boss and to become a final decision. So a lot of officers go by that. They think, oh, if I can catch them in 3 little things they say that seem inconsistent, then I can deny them. But it can be fewer. Even it can be even 1 if it's like a big thing, a big important thing to your case, and there's an inconsistency around it, or what the officer considers to be an inconsistency. Then yeah, that can be enough, even just 1 of them, to deny you based on that. That's why it's so important that you prepare. Preparation, practice is the way that you avoid these inconsistencies. You got to study and know your case inside and out, but then you have to practice. You need to practice your testimony. You need to practice answering questions, including hostile, difficult questions. That's how you maximize your chances for success. That's how you minimize risks of having these inconsistencies, okay? And you can learn all about our preparation sessions that we do. We do something special to help our clients prepare. And it's the most important aspect of the entire representation. The preparation is the most important part. And we've got a special webpage all about this special standalone service that we offer, all about preparation. Okay, go to asylumprep.com if you want to learn about that. All right. What do you want to know about winning asylum in the United States? Uh, uh, nice. Does updating your I-589, is it going to bring a lot of questions? Like if you add that I'm a political member of a political party? No. I mean, look, if you need to, I encourage you to be open and honest and tell the truth. And if there's things that are relevant to your case, then yeah, you bring those up, even if it's something that makes your case better and therefore could be looked upon suspiciously. Like, oh, it looks like he's just updating his case to try to add more good facts. Well, if it's true, it's true. Then I recommend that you talk about it and you do raise it. Okay. All right. What do you want to know about winning asylum in the United States? Uh, right. Uh, Nobody says, is pansexuality recognized as a reason for asylum? If yes, what does it mean? What does matter? What matters most to the officers? Good question. And the question is this: can you win asylum based on the fact that you have an atypical or less common, let's say, sexual orientation or sexual identity? And the answer is yes. So, whether you're straight, gay, bisexual, or pansexual, or anything else, anything that's basically not heterosexual falls under a category that USCIS calls sexual minorities. It just means anything that's not heterosexual. And so if you're at risk if you've been harmed or you're at risk in your country because of that, then yeah, it works. It's okay. It's not just for people who are gay or lesbian. It works also for pansexual, for bisexual, for other understandings of sexuality and sexual orientation. All that fits under the category of what they call sexual minorities, which in turn is under the category of membership in a particular social group. That's the box that you want to check on your asylum application, is membership in a particular social group. That's the category or the protected characteristic that this kind of case falls under. All right. A country where asylum seeker, does it matter in decision making? Amira, do you mean the country where they're from? Yeah, it matters a lot because in addition to, yeah, it matters a lot. But that does not mean that just because you're from a country with a lot of problems or even where a lot of persecution happens that you're necessarily going to win. They care the most about you and your particular circumstances. All right. Uh, Adonai, Irmias says, it's been 6 months since my second interview and almost 2 years since I applied. Is mandamus going to work at this time? Ooh, that's a tough one. Look, right now, we're honestly, in my office, we're not taking mandamus cases unless the person's been waiting 5 years or more, only minimum 5 years. You've already had your interview, you've already had two interviews, and it's been 2 years since you applied. It might. I think we wouldn't take it, honestly. I think we would stick to our 5 year thing with this one, unfortunately. But you might find some other lawyers who will take it at this stage. All right. Um, Farhan Sheikh says, I already applied for asylum and my interview is pending. I uploaded my stories and I have some of the proof to support my asylum. What's the next step if I wanted to hire you as my attorney? All right. So no, the interview's not been scheduled. I'm gonna proceed under that understanding, Farhan. Okay. So the question is this. So what can we offer you? What can my law firm do for you if you've already applied for asylum, but you haven't had your interview yet, and you don't have an interview scheduled yet, but you're waiting. You're waiting for that interview to get scheduled. Look, there's a lot we can do. What we're going to do is we're going to help you create something called an asylum roadmap. We're going to basically fight your case for you on paper. All right. It consists of two or three steps depending on the circumstances. If you've already done a declaration, we're going to review what you've done and we might want to work with you to develop like a supplemental one or a follow-up one. Usually we do not. Usually we think it's not helpful to do that. But if you have not done a declaration, we're going to work with you to develop a declaration. Okay, that's the first part of the asylum roadmap. The second part is evidence. We're going to make a list of evidence that we think you should try to get in your case, and you're going to get as much of it as you can. And third is we're going to write a legal brief where we connect the dots, we explain your case, and show the officer exactly how you meet all the asylum eligibility requirements. Now, in our legal brief, we are citing to, discussing, analyzing, and using country conditions information, reports, news articles, things like that about the conditions in your country. And so we package all this together and we send it to the asylum officer. And the idea is that when it's time for your interview, when you go in for your interview, we want that officer to already be thinking, okay, look, based on the documents in this case, I already understand the case and I can see how the person meets all of the requirements for asylum. We want to precondition them. We want to persuade them, okay, before you ever walk in that door. We call this an asylum roadmap because we're using it to show the officer how to get to the answer yes in your case in the easiest way possible. It's an asylum roadmap. I think it's an important part of a case, and that's what we're going to help you with now. If you've already applied but you don't have an interview scheduled yet, that's the main thing. But we can also do the preparation, okay? You might think, Brian, why would we do the preparation now if the interview hasn't been scheduled? Well, we're going to record it, okay? Our preparation sessions, we're going to record it both in video and the audio, and you're also going to get a summary of it and a transcript from it. And so you can keep benefiting from those things until the moment of your interview, whether your interview is 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, or 2 years from now. It doesn't matter. You're still going to benefit from the preparation sessions that we do now. So definitely the ARM, and we would love to do the preparation with you as well right now. Farhan, I hope you'll schedule a consultation. Let's talk about this. Go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. Okay, winasylum.com. Oh, nice. Ollie says on YouTube, watched your videos and follow your guidance, and I got my asylum approved after just 2 months of applying. Thanks, Brian. Wow, that's fast. Thank you. Congratulations, first of all, Ollie. That's amazing news. I'm really happy to hear that. That's what it's all about, guys. That's what it's all about. Ollie worked hard, it sounds like. Ollie says he watched my videos, presumably on YouTube, because that's where you're commenting. And that's where all my best stuff is, on YouTube. And Ollie won his case, okay? Also, let me point out that Ollie said he won just 2 months after applying. Yeah, guys, it's happening quickly for most people who apply now. The question is this. So how long is it going to take to get your asylum interview after you apply with USCIS? Look, everyone knows of people, in their communities that have been waiting many years for an interview, right? 2 years, 6 years, 10 years. So you might be thinking, well, if I apply now, then I'll probably just be waiting for several years too. But no, actually, there's a really good chance that if you apply now, you're going to get your interview right away within 1 to 3 months. The reasons behind this of why people now are getting their interviews so quickly when there's still 1.5 million people waiting in a backlog, many of them for multiple years. The reasons it's complicated. It's a long story, but it is what it is. It is the case that if you apply for asylum right now, there's a good chance you're going to get your interview very soon. So you got to be ready. I hope you have an asylum lawyer helping you to put the case together and fight the case on paper fully. But look, the most important thing is the preparation. Okay, the practice for your interview is the most important thing. And if you want to hear about how we help people prepare, a special service we put together around the preparation for asylum, go to asylumprep.com, okay? ASYLUMPREP.com, asylumprep.com. Does having an interpreter help your case somewhat? Good question. The question is this. So what's up with interpretation at your asylum interview? Should you use an interpreter if you speak English pretty well, but maybe not super fluently? Is it better to do your interview in English or use interpretation? It's better to use interpretation. If you're not extremely comfortable in English, then you should use interpretation. Now, remember, at the asylum office, you do have to bring your own interpreter. They don't provide one for you. And I strongly encourage you to use a professional, all right? Professionals are, a professional with experience at the asylum office is so much better than using someone who's your cousin who's like, yeah, I speak English pretty well. I'm telling you, communication is key. And you want to get this right. You need a good interpreter, okay? But look, yeah, it's better to have an interpreter than to just kind of be like, oh, I'm pretty good at English, and then go into it without confidence and maybe making errors. No, it's much better to use interpretation, okay? Err on the side of interpretation if you're not sure. All right. All right. Amira Maheen says, if I have an interview coming up and I have a lawyer representing me, can you still help me prepare on the basis of documents? Good, good question. The question is this. So you've got your asylum interview scheduled. It's coming up, and you've already got a lawyer who's not my law firm, and you want to know, well, can you hire us to help you with like the documents for your case? And the answer is no, not unless you want to switch and make us your lawyers. We would only do the documents in your case if you hire us to be your lawyers for the case. But it's different when it comes to preparation. You can keep your old lawyer and hire us just to help you with the preparation, with the practice sessions for the interview, without needing to fire your old lawyer. In other words, you can keep your old lawyer and they'll be your lawyer for your case, but then you hire us just to help you prepare, to do the practice sessions, or to do what we call the mock asylum interview experience, or for short, it's called the experience. You can hire us for the experience, but still keep your old lawyer. But you cannot hire us to do like the documents, the declaration, evidence, and legal brief, and still maintain your old lawyer. You'd need to stop working with them and hire us to be your lawyers if you wanted our help with the documents. Okay, Amira. So yeah, that's how it works. But look, if you have to choose one, choose the preparation. So look, that raises a good question, and the question is this: if you had to choose between getting a lawyer's help, an asylum lawyer's help for just like one aspect of your case, what should you choose? So look, hiring an asylum lawyer for full scale representation, like to be your lawyer from beginning to end of your case for all aspects of your case, is expensive, right? Like we charge between $11,000 and $16,000 for full scale representation, depending on circumstances. It's a lot of money, and it's just not possible for a lot of people, understandably. If you were able to hire a lawyer to do just like one aspect, one thing to help you on kind of like a limited basis representation, what should you choose? It's easy. There's no hesitation in my response to that. Preparation, okay? The preparation and practice for your interview is the most important thing. It's more important than what you say in your application. The preparation is more important than what you say in any declaration. It's more important than what any lawyer could say for you in a legal brief. It's more important even than having a lawyer represent you on the day of your interview. The most important part of an asylum case is the practice, the preparation before your interview. And we do offer that. My law firm, it's actually a new service. We haven't always done this, but I realized finally recently the importance of offering this, because it's the most important thing that we do to help people. We decided to offer it as a unique standalone service, meaning it costs a fraction of what it costs to hire us for full scale representation, but we're helping you with the most important thing. And you can learn all about it here at asylumprep.com. Okay, go to this website to learn all about this unique standalone service that we offer to help you prepare for your asylum interview. Asylumprep.com. Liberis Le People wants to know, hey Brian, can I ask you questions directly in the live? Sure. Just ask and I might answer. All right. Ooh. Raj, yes. Yes. As long as your son remains unmarried. Is he still unmarried? So look, the question is this: can your child come join you in the United States after you win asylum if you applied for asylum years ago, and at that time when you applied, your child was under 21 years old, but now by the time you finally get your decision, you get approved, they're over 21, they're 21 or 22 or 25, 30. The answer is yes, it's okay. You can still bring them here through the I-730 process because their age is frozen as of the time of the asylum application. However, this is super important. If they get married, then you can't bring them. They can't get asylum through you, and you can't bring them here through the I-730 process if they get married. Okay, so turning 21, not a problem. It's fine. But getting married, yes, it's a problem. It destroys the relationship that you would need to bring them here, or for them to benefit from your asylum. Okay. For people who live in Seattle, Washington, if you're applying with USCIS, they will come to you. They will come and interview you. The San Francisco Asylum Office has jurisdiction over people in Washington State, and the San Francisco Asylum Office will send an officer up to Seattle, and they'll interview you at the USCIS Seattle field office. I've been there for interview for clients. And yeah, it's handled by the San Francisco Asylum Office, which is good because that's usually the office with the normally has the highest approval rate. Um, and but you don't have to travel for it. They'll come to you. All right. All right. What do you want to know about winning asylum in America? Instagram. Good to see you. You're me. Thanks for being with us. How are you guys? TikTok. Hello, hello. EMM. Thank you for following me. I appreciate it. Thanks for the follow on TikTok. YouTube. Hello, hello. Good afternoon. Good morning for, or I guess it's after, no, it's still morning for our folks, our friends on the West Coast. Um, uh, and yeah, for those who just joined, I'm Brian Manning, and I'm an asylum lawyer. In my law firm, it's called Political Asylum Lawyers, and we help immigrants all over the country. Doesn't matter where you live. We help people all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. All right. Uh, Libérez les peuples. Is that French? What language is that? Let me know. I'm curious. My interview was canceled and transferred out of Arlington office in Virginia after 10 years of waiting. You should consider suing the government to force them to give you your asylum interview. You do this through what's called a mandamus lawsuit, where you're asking a judge to tell USCIS, hey, you got to do your job. This is taking too long. And you are in a very strong position, I believe. I believe there is a very good chance for success in getting your interview scheduled since you've been waiting for so long. It's okay. It doesn't matter that you moved. If you sounds like you moved at some point and transferred your case, doesn't matter. That doesn't affect the timeline. Actually, we get this question a lot. It's a good question. The question is this: does moving and having your asylum case transferred from one asylum office to another affect the timeline for purposes of having success with a mandamus lawsuit? So we're talking about suing the government to force your interview. You've been waiting for several years, right? In my law firm right now, at the moment, we're saying 5 years is the minimum. You have to, for us to take your mandamus case, you have to have been waiting 5 years or more. And so let's say, for example, to illustrate this, that you lived you lived in Miami for like 5 years, and then you moved to San Francisco, and you call my office and you're like, Brian, I just moved to San Francisco. I just got word last week that they transferred my asylum case from Miami to San Francisco, but it's only been pending in San Francisco for like a month. Can we sue the government for the mandamus lawsuit, or does the 5 years need to be with the same office, or how does it work? Good news. The answer is it's okay. It doesn't matter. The fact that you moved doesn't mean anything for the mandamus timeline. We routinely sue the government in mandamus lawsuits and have success, despite that our client has moved and had their case transferred during that time and has not had it pending with the new asylum office for long at all. Okay, we're looking at USCIS. It's USCIS's job. It's their duty to consider your case and make a decision in a reasonable amount of time. So it doesn't matter, which office it was with for how long within USCIS. All right. Libérez les peuples. Sorry, my French accent's not any good. We should talk. Go to winasylum.com. I want you to schedule. I hope you'll schedule a consultation with my team. All right. WINASYLUM.com. All right. Uh, all right. Hey, Raj, I answered your question earlier about your son, which I hope was helpful, but I didn't answer or I didn't address the first part of what you said about how you were sick, and you wrote a letter and you're trying to get them to make a decision, right, on your case that you said has been pending for 7 years. You should look, if you sent that letter and if more than a month goes by without them making a decision, I would sue them. I recommend that you talk with an asylum lawyer about suing them. Okay, a mandamus lawsuit is used not just to force an interview, but also you can use it to force a decision. If you applied for asylum, it sounds like you applied 7 years ago, and then you at some point had an interview, and now you're still waiting for the decision. You could sue them to force that decision. We should talk about this, Raj. All right. Go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. I hope you'll go there and schedule a consultation because I want you to talk with my team about um, the possibility of suing the government to force your decision in your stalled asylum case. All right. All right. All right. Okay. Well, look, liberes la people. Uh, you do need to change your address. You need to do a form AR11. Okay. It's really important that you do that. And um, yeah. Oh, wait. Sorry. But you said they did not reschedule it after 7 months. I'm not, yeah, we should talk about the circumstances. The bottom line, though, is you definitely should do the AR11 when you move. And if you've been waiting for 5 years or more, you're in a good position to have success with moving your case forward through the mandamus lawsuit. That's what I want you to know. All right. Look, guys, if you think you might want help with the most important part of your case, check out this webpage, asylumprep.com. All right. Go to asylumprep.com and see if you think it looks helpful. All right. If it does, schedule a consultation so we can talk with you and see if you qualify for our preparation service, for our mock asylum interview experience, or the experience for short. You got to qualify. Not everyone qualifies. Okay. You got to do a consultation first to see if you qualify. The first step, though, is go learn about it. Go see what we're offering at asylumprep.com. All right. All right, guys, that's it for today. I'm Brian Manning, and my law firm, Political Asylum Lawyers, we help immigrants all over the country. Doesn't matter where you live, we help people all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. And, as always, it really is a pleasure and an honor serving you in your asylum